Hi everyone, it's Lisa with Ink and Inspirations, and welcome to our video premiere for Thursday, September 26, 2024. Thank you if you're watching either the premiere as it goes live or later the replay. Would love for you to say hello in the comments. I will be sending the card that I make today to one of you that comments in the video. I'll probably do the drawing sometime tomorrow morning. That'll be Friday morning, and post the winner on Facebook and YouTube. So today we're going to be making a card with the Autumn Expressions stamp set. It's a fun fold that uses quite a bit of pattern paper. So I know if you're like me, you have a lot of pattern paper stacked up because you just can't resist it. Our designer series paper from Stampin' Up! Is just absolutely gorgeous. And we're always looking for ways to show it off, right? So I'm going to show you one of those ways today, and we're going to get started in a few minutes. But first, just a few reminders. Next Saturday, October the 5th, is World Card Making Day. And to celebrate, I'm going to be going live throughout the morning and early afternoon with some project ideas to share with you. I'll be going live on Facebook and YouTube. I'll be putting the times that you can tune in later on this weekend, possibly Monday, and so you'll know when to tune in, but the videos will remain. So if you can't join us live, be sure and watch the replays. They will remain on YouTube and Facebook, my Facebook business page, Ink and Inspirations with Lisa Brown. Okay, so don't forget about that. Next, I want to remind you, if you haven't seen this and if you're not on my email list, you need to sign up because the 12 Weeks of Christmas campaign event starts next Wednesday, October the 2nd. Already going to be October, already time to get ready for the holidays if you haven't started already. So what you'll be getting when you sign up, of course, you'll get my weekly emails, but in addition, for the next 12 weeks, beginning next Wednesday, you're going to get either a Christmas card, a Christmas gift idea, or a packaging idea via email from me in addition to my weekly emails. Okay, so you don't want to miss out. You need to be signed up by Wednesday, October the 2nd at 1 p.m. Central Time. That's when the first email goes out. Okay, and if you miss that first week, you can still sign up, but I can't go back and redo the weeks that you've missed. So be sure you sign up now. Okay, all right, so World Card Making Day, the 5th. The 12 Weeks of Christmas start next week. It's a new month. You'll get my October newsletter on the 1st, I believe. Yes, that's Tuesday the 1st. And you don't want to miss any of the announcements that we have coming from Stampin' Up! Okay? All right, let's get started. I'm going to switch to my desktop and we're going to talk a little bit about the bundle. Whoops. Sorry. For some reason, I hit the wrong button. Let me look and see. Here we go. Add to stage. There I am. Okay, now let's do solo layout. Okay, all right, and I'll remove this banner. Okay, so let me get this cord out of the way. The Autumn Expressions bundle, which is part of the Splendid Autumn Suite, is on page 36 and 37 of the Stampin' Up! Mini Catalog. Okay, and there are quite a few products here. I know the paper that goes with the suite is absolutely gorgeous, and you'll be seeing me do a lot with that. But today I'm using a different paper. Okay, I'm using the Regal Winter. Let's see if that's what it's called. Yes, the Regal Winter Designer Series paper in conjunction with this bundle. Okay, just to switch it up a bit. I wanted to use a 12 by 12 sheet, So I chose that paper and I think it went with it very well. But this is a beautiful bundle and suite of projects. So I encourage you to look at that and add it to your collection. All right. So here's the card we're going to make. It's got a little tie closure. It's got some die cuts with the stamped sentiment on the front, and it's a card for a friend. Okay, so there's one part. Here's the inner part for your message. And look how you can see the designer paper on both sides. I mean, that is the actual card base. Okay, so one thing I want to point out, it's cut 5.5 inches wide. Okay, so if you can get 2 cards out of one 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. So you cut 5.5 inches by 12 and then another 5.5 inches, and then you're going to have a 1-inch strip left over. Okay. You take that 1-inch strip, cut it in half, or just cut it down the middle close, and you can get strips for both cards that you can use on the inside. And I thought that this was a great border here to go with this wild wheat plaid background. Okay, so let's get started with this. First of all, I do have this piece of 5.5 by 12 designer series paper, and I'm going to use this floral as the outside. Love it with the Blackberry Bliss and the Cherry Cobbler. And I've scored it at 4 inches and 8 inches. Okay, so we're just going to take this and fold on those score lines and make the fold of our card. So I've already scored this, but I can barely see my score. There it is. All right. And so the right flap is going to come on the inside, and then the left flap is going to be the card front. Okay. Before we deal with this, we're going to do these inside pieces. So what you need for that are 2 pieces of basic white, or if your paper calls for it, very vanilla cardstock, cut 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so one of them is going to go here and one on the inside. So you have 2 interiors. Okay, if you need space to write more than just what this inside one will hold, you can do this outside one differently, but I'm going to show you where I'm just making it more decorative than anything else. Okay, where it's like a sentiment when they open up the card. Okay, so with this first piece, I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper and put it underneath. And I'm going to take this little wheat looking stamp from the Autumn Expression stamp set and get some wild wheat ink. And we're going to ink it up. We're going to stamp it off twice, okay, to get a lighter version of the ink. So when you stamp off, you can get several colors out of one ink pad, really. Just a light, see how it's a lighter version there? I didn't want it too dark, too bold, so I decided to stamp off twice, and I'm just going, and I'm going to try to vary the heights just a little bit. So I'm going to come up a little more on this one, and I'm just going all the way across the bottom of the card. Oh, I got that one too dark. I forgot to stamp off. Let me start over. Off, and stamp. That's the back is good for that. Okay. Off, and stamp. Raising that up a little higher. Off, and stamp. Off. Now I see a little space right here, so I'm going to re-ink. I want it to go off the bottom, but I think I can do this. and it'll be just fine. Okay, so you've got like a field of wheat or whatever that is growing down there at the bottom. Okay, so now let's get that paper away. I'm going to get another sheet. I'm going to put the sentiment grateful for you on the inside, and I've decided to use the Blackberry Bliss ink, which is very dark. Okay, so you need to be careful when you're using the dark inks like Blackberry Bliss, Cherry Cobbler. What else is there? Cajun Craze can be very dark. Because sometimes it can be overwhelming and you might want to stamp off just a bit before you use it on your project. Just play with it. You know, stamp off on scratch paper and see what you get. So I'm going to try it here, and I like that. Okay, I like it bold for that sentiment. So I'm going to pull this up, and I'm going to stamp this like in the middle, close, a little closer to the top. Okay, love that. Okay, now I'm going to try to keep my inks out of my hands and move those over. I was just looking around for a piece of scrap because I wanted to stamp Dear Friend. And I saw this little narrow piece. I thought, that's not good for anything. I'm going to throw it away. But look, this sentiment is very small. I'm going to ink it in Blackberry Bliss. And then I'm going to take this scrap piece of basic white, and look at there. Perfect. So I'm not one to keep all the little scraps. I don't know about you, because it can get overwhelming and you just have too much. But if I'm creating a project, and like I got these when I trimmed down my basic white, this piece, it was cut 4 by 5 and a quarter, and I had it in my little box on my desk. So all I had to do was cut off 1/4 of an inch off the side to make it fit for our card. And this little strip was left over. And so it was on my desk. So when I went to look for something, I was going to stamp Dear Friend here, but the reason I'm stamping it on an additional piece of paper is sometimes when I have a small stamp and I'm trying to get it even and I don't want to use a positioning tool or anything like that, I'll stamp it on another piece of the same color cardstock, the neutral like basic white or very vanilla, and then I'll cut it out and use it on the project. And it kind of adds a little bit of texture. Okay, I had thought about sponging around the edges, but I thought that would make it too much of a standout against that white background below the Grateful for You. So this way I can just kind of straighten it out if I need to, instead of trying to stamp directly onto this, having it crooked, and then having to start all over. Okay, I already turned it over once, right? Okay, so now we're going to put this on the first cover of the inside of our card. I'm going to get my bone folder and give this a better crease. When I score my designer series paper, like I did this scoring in my paper trimmer, you know, it's thinner than our cardstock. So when you do that, you don't want to bear down too hard and rip through the paper. So it was a very light score, but you do want it to lay flat for your project. So go back and burnish it with your bone folder. All right, now let's take some liquid glue. So remember to leave a comment, and also I appreciate it if you like and share my video. That's very helpful to me and I appreciate it. Okay, so there is the first inside. Okay, now let's work on this, which is where the body of our message that we're going to handwrite. Okay, so what we're going to do now is grab this one, and I decided I wanted some type of embellishment on this, but not too much. I wanted to leave plenty of room to write my message, okay? So what I decided to do is get 3 colors of cardstock that were within the designer paper. Okay, so it's Cherry Cobbler, Blackberry Bliss, and Wild Wheat on the inside. So what I did is I'm going to go ahead and, oops, let me see if I can wipe my stamp off to make sure I don't have any ink residue. I'm getting Wild Wheat, inking it up, and I'm stamping on Wild Wheat. And you can see where I've already cut some, okay? But I stamped tone on tone, which is the same color ink on the same color cardstock, okay? Then I'm changing ink colors, so I need to wipe, which I'm doing that off camera so you don't see my dirty piece of rag that I'm using. And then let's see what's next. Let's do Cherry Cobbler next. So I want 3 leaves, okay? So I'm inking Cherry Cobbler and stamping on Cherry Cobbler. Again, tone on tone, and that shows up nicely. Now you're going to see when we get to the Blackberry Bliss, because it's so dark, it doesn't show up a whole lot, but you would notice if you didn't stamp. Okay, so you need to go ahead and stamp it. The leaf shape, the die cut, works well. I'm using Blackberry Bliss. Let's do it down here. And you can see it. Let me see, get the light just right. See it there? But it's like dark on dark, tone on tone, which is perfectly fine. And then I used the leaf die that's in the bundle. And what did I, oh, here it is right here. I used it. I used my little Post-it tape, taped it down, and ran it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine for the 3 different colors. Okay, so I've already done that to save a little bit of time. I'll get my scraps out of the way. And then I have my 3 leaves here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, here's our interior basic white. I want to keep my 2 darkest colors on the outside, and I'm just going to make like a little, what do you call it, swag of leaves right here. So isn't that pretty, those 3 colors together? So I'm going to take, let's see, and just put some liquid glue, put this one down close to this left edge. Then I'm going to do the other side with the Cherry Cobbler and come out a little bit like that, where it's more toward the top, but I didn't want it a right angle, okay? So, and then take the Wild Wheat leaf and put it in the center. Okay, and I thought, do I put a bow up here? And I thought, no, I'm going to leave it as it is because I think it looks great just like that. Get that ink out of the way, bring our card base in. And so what I also would like to point out, you know, the card base with designer paper or pattern paper is thinner than our actual cardstock, which is the best on the market, in my opinion. And adding these layers inside here like that gives it the thickness and the depth and the strength that you need. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on the inside. And just center it right in that middle between the 4 and the 8-inch score. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now while we have this open, I have my 2 pieces of the designer paper that I had left over, and I cut, it was 1 inch, 1 by 12. I cut it in half at 6, and then I cut those in half lengthwise. So I'm just going to line those up and bring some more color in on the inside. So if when you cut your paper and you decide, oh, that doesn't really look good, if it's like a heavy floral print on the inside and this is a heavy floral print and it clashes, pick a color of cardstock from your paper. Like I could have picked blackberry or cherry and cut a 1/2 inch by 5.5 inch strip and just lined it up to bring some color into this with the wild wheat. Okay, so let me go ahead and put this down. And I'm coming about a 1/2 inch from the edge, just trying to do it the same on both sides. Let's see, that's more like a quarter inch. So let me move it over. Here we go. Okay, then I turn it over and I see if there's any extending, if it's cut too long, and I can trim that off, which that looks pretty good. I'm not going to mess with it. Okay, so there's the interior, plenty of room to write the message. There's the first flap, and now we're going to do the front. So let's do the closure first. I tell my stamp clubs when we make closures with ribbon, I always tell them, remember, keep telling yourself, ribbon first, ribbon first. So you don't get everything decorated and then your ribbon is on top. So I did not measure this because it's going to be different for everyone. I don't want to tie a bow. I just want to tie a knot. So I know I don't need as much ribbon. Okay, so I need about this 3 or 4 inches. Let's see how long this is to tie a knot, and it's extra, so it's about 3.5 inches on each side. Okay, so that's 7 and then 4 and 4, 8. So it's probably 16 inches would be safe if you're just tying a knot. Okay, and I leave extra because before I send it, if I need to trim it, if the edges have raveled, you know, or something, you can trim it off, trim off the excess. So now I'm just going to take some of my Stampin' Seal Plus. I have it in the center of the card front because I know I'm going to place my sentiment on the outside in the center. And looking at the back to make sure the ribbon is not twisted. And I'm going to put a little Stampin' Seal there. You could use liquid glue. I'm using the seal so that I don't have to wait for it to dry. Cut these at an angle and then flip it over and do the back. And you just need a little bit to just kind of hold it in place. So you want to have your card closed up like you want, like it's going to be, before you do the ribbon, so that when you open it, it's right and it's adhered to the front and the very back of the card. Okay? All right, so I'm not going to tie that yet. So now I knew I wanted this to say, have a perfectly lovely day on the front. Y'all, I went back and forth. I really wanted to do a gold frame and then a center with in the white. I didn't have any gold here with me in Texas. No gold foil. And I thought I had brought some, so I had to adjust, which we can do when we don't have the exact products that we think we have. And I cut a cherry cobbler frame. So this little doozy does all kinds of things. Makes like a little purse. It can make a frame like it's hanging on the wall. You've seen it, I know, and I've shown it before. But on this one, I just wanted it to frame out my sentiment, which I cut another one of these out of basic white to get these center labels. Okay, so now I have one. I used one on the first project, and now I have this one that's going to go on the inside. But we need to trim this off. I wanted to show you that to cut this frame, you need about the height and width of the front of a card base, a standard card base. So cut your card base 4 1/4, at least 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And that is just exactly right. So if you like to have some wiggle room when you're die cutting, cut it about 6 by 4 1/4. Okay. And that will be just right. What I do is I usually have a 4 1/4 by 11-inch strip. And then I use that in case I want to move it down. Let's see if this would, if I would have moved it a little, I might have had room for 2, but you see, you really can use the 6 inches there to die cut your frames. And you get these 2, or the one that folds up. What did I do with it? Here it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this apart. And I want to use this thicker side. You see how this one is thinner? And so what I'm going to do is just cut them apart in the center of these 2 tabs, which is, there's a score line there. I'll save this one for another project. And then I'm just going to cut these tabs off. And it's pretty much a straight cut. All right. So I'm cutting off the tabs, lining up my snips along the edge there, and cut. Okay, let's keep going. So yeah, I would have loved to have done this in gold, but wasn't happening. All right, so now I have my frame, I have my label, and I'm going to stamp this one in Cherry Cobbler, and it's going to say, grateful for you. No, have a perfectly lovely day. I already used grateful for you. So Cherry Cobbler ink, ink it up. I'm not going to stamp it off because I want the bold Cherry Cobbler color. And I'm going to center this. It's just a pretty tight fit, but it will work. Okay. So I'm trying to get in the center there and stamp. I think my head may have gotten in there. And okay, so it's pretty close over here on the edge, but I think it will work. And I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. So it's a tight fit, but it works. You could also fussy cut it out and put it on, and I thought I had done that to try, but I don't see it. So I don't know. Another thought I had was to do it on gold embossing powder on Cherry Cobbler and just put that on the front. Okay. Just, there's all kinds of ways you can do it. All right. So next, we're going to take this and put it down on there. And then this is going to go over top, and it outlines the edge where you can still see the faux stitching there. Let me get this glued down. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal Plus again, just so it'll stick when I put it down. Okay, and then take this one, and I'm going to glue that as the frame. Okay, so that turned out nice, don't you think? All right, we're just about finished here. I'm putting some liquid glue on the frame on the back side, and then just going to line that up around that frame. There you have it. Okay, so let's add a little bling. I thought I had the matching coordinating glass dots or faux glass dots, whatever they're called, but I didn't find those either. So I'm using some of these Sparkle Gems, adhesive back gems. And I'm going to put one here. And these come in silver, black, and gold. They are very versatile and awesome. that one there, and then another little one here. And there we have our fun fold, really showing off the designer series paper. So I'm sure there's a name for this fold. I don't know it, but I've done one before a long time ago in a different size. Let me show you and see if you remember it. Huh. I did it, remember this little cow stamp? I did it 4 by 12 so I could get 3 cards out of one and it still fits in an envelope. But I did it. You're utterly fantastic. And there's the inside. So see, it shows off both sides. Now this one, I did the same. You notice I didn't put a mat behind the basic white because I didn't want to cover up the designer paper. And here's the ribbon that ties this one closed. So you can experiment with the sizes too. Okay. So if you have left a comment by the time I do a drawing, either on Facebook or YouTube, I'll do a drawing and I'll send the card that I made to the one that is the drawing by spinning the wheel. Okay, so let me see if I can get back on here. Okay, all right. I hope you will give this card a try. That is a great way to use your 12 by 12 designer series paper and cut it apart to make a beautiful card front, or card base, I should say, with your designer paper. Okay, so try that. And if you do make one, I would love to see it. You can either email it to me, or if you're on Facebook, I have a private group for those that follow me. It's called Ink and Inspiration Stampers. I'll try to remember to put it in the description here below the video, either on Facebook and YouTube, so that you can go over there, click to join. You do have to answer some questions. That's to keep the trolls out and make sure you're a person. And then I'll let you into the group, okay? And then we share over there. So anyway, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. And I will talk to you soon. Remember World Card Making Day. And don't forget about the 12 weeks of Christmas. Screenshot that link so you can go sign up right now so that you don't miss any of those Christmas and holiday projects, okay? All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Lisa Brown with Ink and Inspirations, inspiring you to create, share, and make a difference. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.